Dear Thai, dear Sangha, I suffer a lot from my father. It's difficult for me to see him, and it's almost become dangerous. I do not want to see him anymore. And I've given him several chances to change. I have stayed forcing myself to go. Now I can't. And now my question is, do I still have to try and change him and try to go to him, even though it is making me very tired?
Dear Thai, our friend said that he has a lot of difficulty with his father. It's been very difficult for him to see his father, and he feels that it has even become dangerous. And he has tried to force himself to go and to give his father many chances to change, to transform. But he feels it hasn't been successful, and he feels he cannot force himself to go anymore. But he's asking Thai if he should continue to try to bring his father to transform, to change, and push himself to try to help his father to change.
In order to find the right answer, we have to look first, look more deeply, to see the relationship between us and the other person. Whether you are son and father, or whether you are daughter and mother, or you are partner and partner, and if you have difficulty with the other person, and if you want to change him or her, the first thing we should do is to look deeply into ourselves and into that person, to realize, to see the relationship, the connection. Usually we think that the other person is outside of us. And that is not right view. In this case, we think that our Father is outside of us. And we need only to change the outside and not the inside. We need to see that our Father is in us. Our Father is present in every cell of our body. We have our Father in us. We are the continuation of our Father in us. And if it may be easier for us to change our Father inside first. And we can do that 24 hours a day. You don't need to see and to go and see Him, talk to Him in order to change. The way we breathe, the way we walk, can change Him in ourselves. Invite Him to walk with us, to sit with us, to smile with us. And then the Father inside of us will change. Otherwise, we will grow up and behave exactly like Him now. There are many children who hate their father, who promise that when they grow up, they will not act and say things like their father. But when they grow up, they will act exactly like their father. And they go say things exactly that by their father. That has happened many times, always. So you hate it, you don't want to do it. you don't want to say it, and yet you will do exactly like that, and you will speak exactly like that, and that is what we call in Buddhism samsara, going around. You continue your father, not only with your body, but your way of life. So that is why when you encounter the Buddha Dharma, you have a chance. You have to send your father in you first. And when you have been able to send your father inside of you, he will not go to samsara again. You will not transmit that kind of habit to your children. So you end the round of samsara, going around. Recycling. And when the father inside has been transformed, the transformation of the father outside will be much easier. That is my experience. I have fellow monks who are difficult. They are dignitaries in the church, in the Buddhist church. They are very conservative. They didn't allow transformation to take place in the community. You know that in order to serve society, you have to renew your community. Whether your community is Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, right? And many of us are eager to renew our tradition, to serve society and human beings better, right? But there are so many conservative elements in the church. So that is true in my case also. But I noticed this very early. I said, they have in us, they are in us. We have to change ourselves first. So if you are a partner and your partner does not change, don't think that your partner is just outside of you. Your partner is inside of you. Even if you have divorced him or her. Yesterday I received a question. Can we reconcile? Can we begin anew with the one who we have divorced? And this is exactly the question we have to answer. Because even in the beginning you believe that after divorce, and then you can be yourself entirely, and you can take him out of you completely. That's wrong. You can never remove himself from you. You can never remove herself from you. No way. So before you attempt to do something with the other person outside, try to help him transform inside. Try to help her transform inside. And with this practice, we can succeed in transforming ourselves and become a model. We become fresh. Our way is exactly the way we want him to be. So by speaking, by acting, by living, you begin to change him. You don't change him by talking alone. Maybe talking cannot change. But your way of reacting, your way of acting, reacting, your way of responding, will help change that person. Because he has also his intelligence, and he can notice that. And you know that to succeed in the work of changing oneself and changing the other person, you also need a Sangha, you also need friends to support you. That is why you have to take refuge in the Sangha. You have to know how to make good use of the collective energy of the Sangha to support our transformation and healing, and to help us transform the other person. Don't be too eager to transform him right away. You have to accept him as he is first. You have to accept her as she is first. And after acceptance, you feel much better already. And you begin to change him inside of you. This is a very deep practice. And since our friend has come to Plum Village every year and practiced with us since he was a small child, I believe he can do it. And we try to support him to do it. Never lose our hope. And the way not to lose our hope is to make progress every day by the practice, daily practice.
When I get angry, how do I let my anger out?
How do I let my anger out?
Do you think that your anger has come from the outside in and now you want to let it out again? Are you sure that the anger is coming from the outside? That is a counter question. In Plum Village, we learn how to deal with our anger, how to take care of our anger. Anger is not something pleasant. It's like the mud. But without the mud, we cannot grow lotus flowers. So the mud is useful somehow. So your anger is useful somehow. So maybe you should not get it out. You should not throw it away. If you know how to make good use of your anger, you can grow the lotus of peace, of joy, of forgiveness. And this is a very deep teaching in Plum Village. We have been learning about this. Anger comes up not from the outside, but from the inside. Because we do not understand, and that is why we cannot love. And if we look deeply, we listen deeply, we'll be able to understand. And when we understand, there is love. And when there is love, anger rests. transform itself. You don't have to take anger and throw it away. In fact, anger is something that you can use, and if you hold that anger in understanding, in compassion, then anger becomes something like love, like compassion. I will give you an example. The other fellow this morning said something unkind to you. He did something, he said something unkind to you, and you suffer, and anger is coming up. And usually, if you are not a good practitioner, you want to give that boy or that girl a punch, punish him or her, and that is anger in us. And that anger is a kind of mud. It will smear everything. So we need to be aware that that mud of anger we have to handle, and do not let the mud to smear us and smear the other person. So you might like to breathe in calmly, mindfully, and look at that boy or girl. And what do you see in him or in her? You see there is a violence in him, there is anger, suffering in him or in her. If that boy or girl is happy, he would not have said something mean like that. He wouldn't have done something violent like that. But he did not have the happiness. He does not have the happiness in him. That is why he suffer. And when he suffer like that, he want to get his suffering out by saying something mean to you or doing something unkind to you, and he think that by doing so he will suffer less. That's not very intelligent. So when you look and you see that boy is unhappy, there is anger, violence in him, and he does not know how to handle the violence in him, the unhappiness in him. That is why he suffers. And when he suffers like that, it's natural that he makes people around him suffer. So when you see the anger in him or in her, and you understand that anger, you are no longer angry at him. Poor boy, poor little boy, poor little girl, they suffer. I don't want to punish him, to make him suffer more. I want to make him suffer less. And you smile at him. You said, dear friend, I know that you suffer. I'm not angry at you, even if you have said something like that to me, even if you have done something like that to me, because you suffer a lot. So I don't blame you. I'm not angry at you. I'm breathing in and out. I understand you. That is why I'm not angry at you. I do not suffer. You are a good practitioner. And he will be amazed. Other people will react differently. They will hit him or tell him something very mean. But you are not doing like that. You are reacting in a very different way, with tenderness, loving kindness, smile. And he will be amazed. And one day he will ask you, how can you do that? When someone said something very brutal, very mean, and does something very violent like that, and you still keep your calm, your peace. How? And then you tell him, you tell her how you have come to Plum Village and learn that kind of mindful breathing and recognize the anger and recognize anger in you and in that person. So we come here as very young people, and we learn these wonderful things. And you might be able to share that with your friends when you go back to school. That is also a good question.